Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com, also video presentation. So at least we do have two physicists now involved. One of them, a snarky weasel piece of shit, human garbage, jackass, fucking arrogant, obnoxious teddy bear molester. And the other guy, seems much nicer. Yeah, anyway. But we'll see. The other guy doesn't talk much, though. He just says, let's talk about it, but he doesn't really say anything about it. So there's not much to talk about. You make the argument and they just ignore it. So that doesn't work very well. Anyway, so we'll see. Yeah. At least it's better than nothing, I think. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, maybe if I offer to pay them to actually respond to one of my videos, just actually play one of the 5-minute videos or something and actually explain how what I'm saying in the video isn't true. It'd be really nice. So I'll do a couple of minutes on, it's sort of the rolling argument, but it's not. Okay, one of the videos done by this Val, whatever he is, revenue guy, moon pie, the blue moon pie, whatever he calls himself. So anyway, I asked him the simple question, and he finally did answer it, okay, in an email. All right, so he calls himself Professor Science. Can you see that? And he has this fucking scary-ass icon. Come on, there it is. Can you see that? What the hell is that? And why would an adult science professor have this as an icon? It doesn't look very adult. Okay, let's put it that way. It doesn't look like he wants an adult audience. He's trying to seduce the young ones. All right, anyway, so I asked a simple question. Do you actually believe it takes 25 times the fuel to spin something 5 times as fast? I mean, this obviously doesn't happen in this known universe. This never, ever, ever happens. There's no way anybody rational and reasonable could say, yes, I believe it. I believe it actually happens, that every time you pull the trigger on a drill, you're using megawatts of electricity. And obviously it never happens, okay? A turbine is its best example is a generator. A generator does not produce 25 times the watts when it's going 5 times as fast. It's 5 times, And this is just anybody driving their cars, 25 times. So from going from 10 miles to going 50 miles an hour, you're going to use 25 times the gasoline. Who could believe that nonsense? Anyway, do you really believe that something spinning 5 times as fast will do 25 times the work? It just doesn't happen. There'll never be an example in our experiment because it doesn't happen. It's impossible. It's nonsense. And the physicist says, yes, we can do the math. The math or what's the origin of the math? Leibniz. The math doesn't have any origin in terms of a credible experiment or any facts. It's just somebody decided to put a square on the velocity. Doing the math is meaningless if the math is wrong, if the formula is nonsensical rubbish. If it's a holy ghost, you're not going to make anything out of it. It's a fairy tale. Anyway. And that's how it works out. So what a great answer. So the follow-up question I would have asked him is, what experiment convinces you that this happens, this 25 times the work produced by something going 5 times as fast? What experiment demonstrates this to be true? That would have been the follow-up, but you don't seem to be a big fan of math. Well, not garbage math. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Formalization makes sense. Simplification makes sense. But when it's wrong, when the formula is just made up nonsense, no, don't do that. That's stupid. But what you're describing is literally math. So again, it's literally idiotic. Yeah, that's what it is. And I could point out his own math of conservation. Well, I'll wait till that subject we get to it. 5 times as fast is multiplication. 25 times the work, that's again multiplication. So again, that's not the argument here. The argument here is what's the validity of it? Why would a rational person believe it? What piece of evidence supports this idiotic statement? All right, for me, the natural inclination is to simply work the math. So his inclination isn't to examine the experiments. His inclination is to just do whatever they tell you. They give you a formula, you believe it. They tell you there's a Holy Ghost, and you write the Holy Ghost into reality and see what comes out. So we see what comes out. Nothing. We see this doesn't happen anywhere in the known universe. So just amazingly stupid. All right, so we'll switch also to a page that he's now produced, okay, where he is doxing me on his page. So I did change the page a little just to, he has no business playing with my real name. I don't publish under my name. It's not your plaything, asshole. Yeah. So anyway. So, I mean, I can try to find out who your family is and play with them if you want me to. But, it's just why do you have to resort to that? I mean, it seems like a loser's tactic, not a winner's tactic. Winners don't have to cheat. So fuck you. All right, so he starts it off right, look, okay, Department of Self-Appointed Physics, YouTube University. So this is all supposed to be funny. To who? What kind of mentality sits there and wants to see pages like this? Do you really think that people like Sean Carroll or something go around saying, oh yeah, that's really clever? No, I don't think so, asshole. All right. I mean, it's just a fucking 10-year-old. All right. And then so he says, a profile picture tells everything. So this kind of ugly, big-nosed motherfucker is going to play with people's appearances. I mean, it's just so amazingly ironic. Like, what, do you think I can't Photoshop you? You think I can't find a picture of you where it's unflattering? You don't think I could possibly do that? You stupid turd. Yeah, I can. And if that's what you want to do is exchange Photoshop images, yeah, I'll do that if that's what you want to do. No, I won't do that, frankly. But we'll see. We'll have to make a profile page for him. And it won't have subscribe on it. It won't have commercials. It won't have ads. And it won't have any of that horse shit in it. But it's just so, juvenile. All right. So, famously known for the equation, momentum equals energy. Yeah, that's exactly right. And you're not going to show me an experiment where it doesn't work out that way. So, where? And so he says meaning, momentum vector equals energy scalar. So why would I even think there's such a thing as a scalar? Do you think Newton thought energy was a scalar? Do you think Descartes thought energy was a scalar? Whatever the fuck that is, right? What the fuck's a scalar? Has anybody ever drawn a scalar energy? What the fuck is a scalar? How is the energy in the object in scalar form versus, pushing form? What's scalar energy look like? It's just so, it's so bad. All right, so let's do a little tiny bit of this abstract. Yeah. So there won't be anything about physics in this abstract, right? There won't be anything about a science, or any of the arguments I've made will be referenced in any way, and he won't make any counter argument to anything. All right, Gary Draft Physics, better known for his alias Draft Science. Well, Draft Science is my name. It's not my alias. But anyway, is an independent investigator who has courageously declared war on what he calls lies of physics. What I call it is a religion. The religion of physics. It's lost all connection to reality. And again, I'm the one defending the old physics. Newton and Descartes. Equipped with a webcam and a whiteboard and limitless conviction, he has spent over a decade attempting to rederive, well, that's not what I'm doing, all of modern physics from first principles. I'm just paying attention to the first principles. I don't need to derive anything. I don't need to do anything other than describe the first principles. Okay, if I say something like momentum is energy, you're all done. That's all you need to know. You just look for the momentum in a system and follow it. That's all you have to do. Momentum is always conserved, so it always is moving from one place to another. It never stops moving. But anyway, mostly by ignoring them. So obviously I'm not ignoring Descartes and I'm not ignoring Newton. You're the one slandering Newton by saying he said F equals ma and somehow he thought it's 9.8 meters per second squared when he didn't think so. It's not what he said. And then on kinetic energy, he clearly stated twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. You can't get any clearer statement of a guy who believes in momentum, not a guy who believes in mv squared. So just keep lying, you sack of shit. So this is what professional physicists do. They just lie. Now surpassing several hundred hours, well, it's probably more than that, constitutes the largest known experiment in testing whether confidence alone can generate new laws of nature. So there's just nothing here. No real argument about what I'm arguing, which is I'm arguing for a particle real force model of reality, okay? And the same one Newton thought of, that is 3 dimensions of space containing no ethers. Okay, so we'll wait to come back to this. And so let's do the experiment this asshole did, claiming he's proving kinetic energy when it's as dumb as, okay, the rolling object argument. In the sense that if you're stupid enough to think friction is constant regardless of velocity, then yeah, you can draw these asshole conclusions, but you can only do it if you're really stupid. Yeah, really, really stupid. All right, so in his experiment, he's doing the opposite thing. All right, he's pushing something with a little silly fan, so it's a constant force, but it's a constant force in a context in the sense that this constant force will run out. So as soon as the object starts moving, 20 miles an hour or something, it won't go any faster because the fan can't generate any more energy to overcome both the friction and the air resistance. So you'll just end up going a constant velocity. You won't accelerate anymore because it's not moving the speed of light. Gravity is the speed of light force. So obviously the differential between your speed and the speed of light is going to be gigantic, where in this case it ain't gigantic. But for the limited purpose of the small distance, it's okay because there's enough of a difference. But the simple argument is in the first unit of time, the little fan motor moves that far. So that's in 1 unit of time. And in the second unit of time, it moves that far, right? And in the third unit of time, it'll do the 5. It'll be the 1, 3, 5 thing. And it's basically just being governed by the fact that the friction is changing as your velocity increases. So when you're going very slow, your weight is very high. So if we understood gravity to be 9.8, okay, and we understood it to be 9.8 ball bearings, and the fact is you're just going to, in each unit of time, you're just going to place 9.8 ball bearings on top of something, right? That's the weight. Well, you can understand over this huge unit of time, the ball bearings will be much more separated in terms of their disposition, and then the next unit of higher velocity, they're even more separated. So you can understand that per inch, the amount of weight on the surface is going to be less and less the faster you're going. The friction is less and less. So the friction is, here you actually have stopping friction, in the sense that you have to get started, so you have to first break the static friction to even start moving. And so it's his claim that somehow this proves, okay, that you did 9 times the work. That the 3 times the velocity you got, okay, from let's just say the course of the run, the first unit of velocity would be this one, then the second unit, and then the third unit. That somehow this is consistent with kinetic energy. But the fact is you didn't do the same amount of work per unit of distance. So there's no point in measuring the distance if you're not doing the same work per unit of distance against friction. So it's just a nonsense. So it's the same basic argument as, this argument. It's not any different than the argument for twice the velocity, creating 4 times the rolling distance. And you can clearly understand that this experiment, 1v, is going to be the same as this one's 2v. So it's just the same mass, 1 velocity, same mass, 2 velocity. We know this experiment will be exactly the same as this experiment, so this is where you're going half your speed here. That lack of symmetry, that is going half your speed 3/4 of the way down the track, kind of indicates that something must be changing. And the fact is what's changing is friction. Friction very high here, friction very low when you start at the high velocity, and then it gets bigger and bigger as you go faster and slower and slower. So as you slow down, the friction gets worse and worse, and you travel less and less distance because more and more energy has been sucked out of you. So you're not going to, like, say if you go 3 velocity, as I did in the video, I did that example, 3 velocity. You're not going to have 9 times the heat in the surface. You don't have 4 times the heat in this surface. You didn't do 4 times the work against the ground. The ground did not absorb 4 times the energy. It only absorbed 2 units. And this one is 1 unit of energy in the ground. Fact. All right. And yeah, and it's a real argument that they can't argue around, because they have to say something really stupid like you can't slide across thin ice. This proves this is the same as the thin ice argument. It's basically saying that if I go fast enough, I weigh less. So if I go across a scale or a surface of ice and I go across it quickly, I won't have enough time to weigh my weight. I'll weigh something less than my actual weight. Fact. Fact. Yeah, okay. Alright, so there we have some physics in the video. It won't waste all of our time on gibberish and nonsense and pointless and silly insults by professional physicists. This is what, again, it's just showing the character of these people. They don't love science. They don't love the truth. They're just, little morons that, are petty and have real hard and substantial ego problems. All right, so back to the email, and we'll do the second silly thing he said. All right, I have to move this back over. There really shouldn't be any doxing information here as far as I remember. All right, so velocity isn't really the derivative of velocity. So I was just making the point that when you do mv, you're not supposed to be doing mv over the fraction by which you measure the velocity. Okay, that's not what you're supposed to be multiplying. You're supposed to be multiplying meters per second, the velocity. And so that's the bullshit. Okay, I assume that's a typo. No, it's not a typo. Obviously, velocity is not the derivative of velocity. Yeah, that's exactly my point. And I didn't say it was. What I'm saying is velocity is a number, okay, in meters per second. It is not a fraction, okay, with distance over time. That's not what velocity is. All right, velocity is the derivative of position. So again, and position has nothing to do with anything, frankly. Okay, it's time that has everything to do with it. Velocity is in units of time. 60 miles an hour, 9.8 meters per second. It's in units of time, not position. Acceleration is the derivative of velocity. No, it isn't. So it's, again, you're just saying so, and all acceleration is a change in velocity. So again, it's just, this is where they break the logic and the meaning of these words. That's just the definition of the terms. It's vocabulary and nothing more. It's not just vocabulary. You say per second, and what do? When you write that, you write second squared. So how is per second equal seconds squared. That's not a rational formalization. So, yeah, fuck you, moron. Yeah, right. So, he has an abstract, and then he has something called an introduction. Okay. Yeah, really clever. And then he has an ad. So, can you see the ad? Could you see the ad? Oh, hilarious. So, he has a junk page with ads in it, you know, whatever. Since its inception, physics has operated under the radical assumption that mathematics and experiment should agree. And that's exactly the point. Where's your experiments? Where are they? Where's the experiment showing it taking 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast? All right, and where's the experiment showing something going 5 times as fast doing 25 times the work? Where is that experiment? You still haven't measured 4 pounds dropped 1 foot and 1 pound dropped 4 feet. All right, draft science offers the alternative. So it's just a lie. I've been pleading for experiments. So just lie, lie, lie. That's all you got. You're a professional physicist. You work at a university, and the best you can do is just lie about people. You fucking weasel. All right, that mathematics and experiment are both wrong. So what's that crap? Show me the experiment. So you didn't even do any experiments, you fuck. And again, you did an experiment where you didn't consider the variable of friction. You assume the friction is constant. And I'm pointing out clearly that, no, the friction isn't constant, idiot. So you're the one making the mistake, jackass. Are both wrong, but he is not. Well, I'm not wrong about friction not being the same regardless of velocity. You don't weigh the same. You know, no matter how fast you go across the surface, you don't weigh the same per inch on the surface. Duh. In his treatise, broadcast live and often angrily. Well, I should be angry. Look at this bullshit. Look at what you desperately silly people do. I make physics arguments in my video. Where's your physics argument? You're not making any physics arguments here. You're just talking shit. Useless drivel. Look at what you did to your own fucking relativity video. You put some silly hammer and cat in it for no good reason whatsoever. You're making the point. You're saying that a regular clock is delayed just as much as an atomic clock. You're just making the assertion. You got no evidence it is. All right. Draft science asserts that relativity is false. Well, anything other than circumstantial relativity. Yes, the universe is a three-dimensional space, as Newton said, and stuff are moving in it, okay? And they have momentum. They don't have relativity. They have real momentum. All right, magnetism is misunderstood. Well, duh. You tell me, how do you understand it, fuckhead? What is magnetism, shit for brain? Do you understand what a dipole is? Do you understand what a neutron is? Do you understand that if a neutron decays into an electron and a proton, that it's probably a fucking goddamn dipole particle? You can't figure that out? Too stupid? Yeah, you're too stupid. All right, and photons are mechanical objects that pull. I've never said, so again, just lie some more. I've never said that a photon ever pulls on anything, you lying scum. I mean, it's right in the video push-a-verse, for fuck's sake. And you're going to lie like that. And sometimes complain. So this isn't an argument. This is just trivial crap. What the fuck is this nonsense? So you want me just to, well, make a web page for you and I'll just talk about how you want to molest all kinds of furries. You know, and stuffies, little stuffed animals. You want to fucking molest them. All right. He also insists that the majority, that maglev trains operate by paramagnetism, an explanation that, while novel, has yet to appear in Siemens technical manuals. Well, I'm just saying that obviously it's induced magnetism. Obviously. It's a solid piece of like aluminum they use. All right? And the whole idea is they have to be going a velocity to induce the magnetism in the fucking goddamn material. I don't know. That's challenging. So I don't even know where. I don't know. Is that the... the last time I made a maglev video has to be at least 3 years, 4 years ago. So he obviously won't bother with the videos that are on my website. So even though the websites are there, he won't bother responding to any of the videos I've highlighted. All right, while going on a retreat in the abyss of nonsense, our friend Gary has an epiphany. Momentum equals energy. In mathematical terms, P equals E. Yeah, so it's exactly pretty much what Newton wrote. So it's just a fact that Newton pretty much said that's exactly how it works. Twice the force, twice the motion. Can't really miss it. 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. That means the force is the same as the momentum. It's the same thing. It added momentum in complete identical portions to the force itself. So the force is equivalent to momentum. All right, who cares that momentum is a vector while energy is a scalar? So again, who the fuck could pay any attention to that statement? Scalar. What does this mean? When did they invent scalar? Who was the first person to call energy a scalar? Where? Where did that happen? 1840? When did that happen? When was that invented? Even Leibniz didn't use the word scalar. For fuck's sake, Huygens didn't use the word scalar. They knew it wasn't magical energy. Anyway, for Gary, the equality holds. Yeah, okay, yes, momentum is force, yes. Also, don't ask him why the SI unit of momentum is kilogram per meters seconds. It doesn't matter whether it's foot-pounds. It doesn't matter what these fucking... You can make them out of anything you want to. Okay, the units. So we all know that. And that's why they have 17 different kinds of ways to say watt, joule, calorie. They got Kelvin. They got a ton of ways to say exactly the same thing. While that of energy is the joule. And who cares? So, we know that the newtons, your kilogram meter second, is exactly 1/10 of a joule. So why play a game? But that's all they have is their games. And there's no squared, of course. The squared are meaningless. The joule is not a squared quantity. There's no squares involved in any way. Just absolute nonsense. All right. So let's go back to his crap. That's not his crap. Here, that's his crap. All right. Move it over again. All right. So, this was pretty funny. So, all right, doing experiments that are clinically rigorous, so that's what I suggested, is that there's no point in doing experiments sloppy. So, yeah, that's this part here. Okay, this part here. All right, doing experiments that are clinically rigorous is what is needed. So that's me talking. DIY experiments with little plastic carts or cheap air tracks just create noise. And that's what's been learned over the last 5 or 10 years in these conversations, is that you really have to be careful because there are variables and they all have to be accounted for. And, physics, science has got to be done well, not on the cheap. My thing is cheap and easy home experiments. So yes, so obviously we just don't have the same thing. Okay, I think science should have credibility. I don't think it should be smoke and mirrors. I don't think it should be gimmicks and shenanigans. So fuck you. All right, your expectation of clinically rigorous. Yeah, the physics has billions of dollars. It can afford to do the experiments well, not sloppy. All right, this is like the amateurs doing the Eddington experiment, with the 3-inch telescope. I mean, fuck you. You really think that's the way science should be done? Yeah, I don't think so. I think you ought to have a satellite and 400 times better seeing from space. That's where you should be doing the experiment. All right, experiments means expensive. Well, it really doesn't. So, a high-speed camera isn't that expensive, all of this stuff, but what are people doing? The people who have the cameras and the equipment, what are they doing with it? They're filming watermelons exploding. They're not doing anything seriously. These aren't things we can easily do ourselves. Well, again, why do I need to do it myself? I need to see the experiment. I don't need to crash cars myself. I just need somebody to do it. What's the big deal? One person does it. They do it well. They film it. and then people can watch it for decades. The Mythbuster crashed a car at 100 miles an hour. They crashed a car at 50 miles an hour. You could see that the car only crashed twice as much, plainly visible. So, yeah, I don't need to do the experiment. They did it. Oh, what an asshole. All right, back to the email. No, back to the Buffoonie page. All right, research interests. The abolition of relativity. Absolute relativity. So again, obviously I think, everything on the planet right now has a relative equality in terms of it's all moving on the surface of the earth, and it's all moving through space and moving around the sun and doing all of that, and it shares all of those forced transitions. But yes, that's as far as it goes. Draft Science Works bravely confronts a century of experimental data. So where's the experimental data? It's just a pile of shit. There's no experimental data. And concludes that the data must be wrong. No, you don't have any data. So again, this is just a huge lie that they have some sort of relativity data. They don't have any such thing. Reinterpretation of magnetism. Traditional electromagnetism describes fields, flux, and induction. Okay, draft science induces a simpler model. Magnets just want things. Okay, that's so again, this is, here he is, a physicist, a professional, a college teacher, and clearly those aren't my assertions. So this is just a slanderous lie. Okay, I'm making an argument against any notion that the magnet does any of this stuff magically. And I've produced a simulation of charge that perfectly explains why electrons attract electrons, repel electrons, and why protons repel protons, and why electrons and protons attract. It's right on the web page. 2 + 2 + 3 physics. You're just a stinking, lousy fucking liar. Okay, the simulation is dirt simple and it works. And you're just such a scumbag to cheat my arguments with this crap. All right, philosophical physics. So why is he bringing this up? Ephilism. What the fuck? So where did you get this? You have to go find my haters and have a conversation with them? But anyway, we're not disproving Einstein or ridiculing Einstein for being a hypocrite. I mean, bent space is spooky action, okay? It's nothing more. I mean, he should have called his own theory spooky action. Draft science argues that existence itself is a tragic error. Well, you're proof of that. A position some viewers find relatable after watching 3 of his videos in a row. Yeah, well, they're looking at your face, they could draw that conclusion. How frightening. I'm going to come back on this planet. Consciousness is going to be revived into one of these hideous loser monsters. Who the fuck wants to be born you? Yuck. Barf. Okay. Eventually someone will have to tell him that his own existence is a tragic error. Well, I already know that. But yours is more tragic. So future, remember, to really make up for the fact that I was so mistreated on this shithole of a planet, please piss on this fucker's grave. This is the kind of human garbage, okay, that you always have to be mindful of these arrogant, obnoxious, ivory tower motherfucking religious kooks. These are the enemies of humanity. These are the neuron killers. A shithead who says something, the math says so, so I have to do it because the math told me so. Even though the math was made up by a fucking religious kook. Leibniz tried to get Newton excommunicated. He tried to get Newton put in jail. He was the Inquisition. You're just defending the Inquisitioner's physics. You petty, silly fuck. Oh, God, what a turd. Type this nonsense. So we waste all this time typing all this crap instead of actually making a counter-argument. Yeah, no counter-argument, just this lying shit. Okay. So, back to the fable. Yeah, okay. All right, so I would argue that it's mathematically and physically impossible to conserve both momentum and kinetic energy when energy is moved between unequal masses. So this is an undeniable fact, okay? So this is guy's a mathematician, and this fucker can't figure out that it's mathematically impossible to conserve both. When you transfer energy, and that's all you can do, right? These are even, like I said, it's definitely Descartes' rhetoric, transferring. But it's also Newton's. You just transfer energy. Energy just moves from one object to another object to another object to another object. It's transferred. I mean, I can show Professor Lewin saying energy is transferred. All right. So anyway, I don't think that's correct, he says. That's a perfectly elastic collision. So again, who cares whether it's elastic or inelastic? The argument is the energy has to go somewhere. Always. Always. The momentum always has to still be somewhere. It never dies. All right. It just changes from moving big things that we can see to moving little things that we can't see. All right. Anyway. And we do those in physics class. Yeah, bullshit you do. You cut out paper dolls and then molest them. That can be demonstrated with steel pucks on air table. So again, demonstrate something. Demonstrate some kind of kinetic energy conservation. Let me see the kinetic energy conservation when you take something of twice the mass and put the energy of something of half the mass. Show me kinetic energy ever being conserved in that circumstance, going from a light thing to a heavy thing or from a heavy thing to a light thing. Show me one experiment where that happens. Let's see, but that falls into a DIY category you don't like. I don't have anything against these. The puck tables are a lot better than air tracks, frankly. So I don't have anything against that. So go ahead and show me a kinetic energy experiment on a puck table. Go ahead, show me where you can take the two mass going, let's just say 1v. Well, let's say 2v. No, let's say 1v. Yeah, well, let's say 2v. Okay, and you're, no, 1v, sorry. Two mass going 1v, and now you're going to convert the energy, maybe even through a lever, okay, right, into a one mass, and what's the expectation? Yes, it's going to go 2v. The one mass will go 2v, and that will conserve the mv. But you can't conserve the kinetic energy then. So if you conserve the mv, you can't conserve the kinetic energy. And if you did conserve the kinetic energy and it goes 1.4, well, then you didn't conserve the momentum. No, I have to. Can you see the drawing table? No. Yeah, at least I remembered in time. Well, almost in time. Kind of in time. All right, so, you're going to, might as well just redraw it, right? Draw it better. We'll do the 5-ton, 10-ton, thing, and that'll be the perfect illustration. Okay, but it's mathematically impossible. You can see it. The MV is part of the kinetic energy formula. Obviously, you can't conserve both if you change the M. If you change the M, the V, the square on the V is going to screw everything up as you're changing the velocity. So it's impossible. All right, so you have a 5 mass. All right, and it's going 10V. All right, and I add 5 to it, okay, gracefully. All right, and I end up with a 10 mass, okay, going 5 velocity. All right, that's what it ends up being. Now, I perfectly conserved the momentum, and I totally annihilated 1/2 of the kinetic energy. 1/2 of the KE is gone. Now, they argue that, no, it created objects flew into outer space, and there was gigantic sparks, and there was sounds, and then there was dents, and then there was heat. Well, all of those things require momentum. You can't launch a piece off and not have used the momentum. It's like bowling pins. If the ball knocks the pin over, the ball has to slow down. The ball is giving away its momentum to the pin. If the ball doesn't hit any pins, it keeps its momentum. If the ball hits a pin, it loses its momentum. So you can't create heat, okay, or deformation, or any kind of anything, any pieces flying off, or any vibrations in the atmosphere, or any other crap, without using momentum. So you can't conserve 99.9%. And actually, that's how That's how easy it is to do this experiment very well, is that they can literally do this experiment where they drop this object so gracefully, because see, you're using gravity, you're not using any of its force to combine the objects, you're using gravity. And the fact is that they conserve 99.9% of the momentum. I mean, this literally comes out to be 5V, not 4.9. I mean, it is almost a complete, perfect conversion. So there can't be any heat in here. There can't be any pieces flying off. There can't be any of this crap. Because if there is, then I had free momentum, because my momentum is here. Here's where my MV is. I start with an MV over here. Here's where my MV, all of it is. I can't have MV somewhere else. Moron. Fucktard. Lying sack of shit. Oh, God. So that's what he would argue, though, is that you can use the momentum and then use the momentum again. No, you can't. Something can't be moving over here, a pin, and I still get to keep all of my momentum. Can't happen. Shit for brain. Stupid motherfucker that shouldn't be a college professor because you're too fucking stupid. All right, let's see. Okay, so yes, okay, mathematics, yes, all right, did that one. All right. So, back to this crap page. All right, so methodology. All right, unlike conventional physics, draft science avoids the use of equations, so it's not really true. I mean, E equals mv is all over the place here. I'm just saying my equations are much simpler. That's a fact. My 2 + 2 + 3 physics is full of equations. That's how you make a simulation. You have to have equations in it. And it works fine. But they're all real simple equations. They're just pushing equations. Controlled experiments are brevity. I don't know what that means. How is that relevant? Anyway. Instead, he favors a long monologue method. So, again, these people think physics really should be in short videos, 60-second or less. That's how science should be done. So, Professor Lewin, taking an hour to do a lecture, that was just silly. You don't need an hour to talk about the first law or the second law or the third law. You don't need an hour. Fuck you. Okay, an experimental communication protocol. Why is the university paying this asshole? So I guess he does 5-minute lectures. Physics in 5 minutes. An experimental communication protocol in which clarity decays exponentially with runtime. So he's got his own little theory that somehow the longer your physics presentation, the shittier it is. When I don't think Einstein, he's Einstein's picture behind all this shit. I don't think Einstein thought so. It's so ridiculous. Let's see, make sure this thing is visible. No, again, I forgot. Sorry, my bad. Well, it doesn't matter. Einstein's image is behind this stupid picture. You can see that. All right. In several groundbreaking sessions, he has disproven quantum mechanics using combination of hand gestures. So again, I know I've disproven it by pointing out exactly how the double slit experiment works, that it's all about interactions with the surfaces. This is the two-surface experiment. There's no slit. It's the two-surface experiment, and it produces exactly, almost exactly, the same exact pattern that'll be created by this two-surface experiment. Now the fact that those two experiments, this experiment and this experiment, produce the same pattern is a pretty clear indication that it's not about a fucking opening, jackass. It's not about the opening, jackass. Okay? It's about the fucking surfaces, shit for brain, and you're too stupid to figure that out. You got your head up your ass so far that you can't see the obvious. And this is all obvious stuff. You could have been famous and smart and done the right thing and fixed science. But instead, you shoved your head up your ass. All right, anyway. Let's see. Disproving quantum mechanics using a combination of hand gestures, moral outrage, and what appears to be an old camcorder. So who cares what I use to film? So again, these are the things that are important to him. I don't think they're important to anybody who loves science. I don't think they give a shit whether I'm wearing a shitty sweatshirt or not. I don't think it matters. I don't have a tie. I don't think that bothers them at all. I think serious human beings just couldn't give a shit about the little Weasley crap you like. And I'm sure they don't really find anime characters appealing. Anyway. All right. So we'll save the peer review for next time. Okay, go back to his silly email. All righty. And we do this again. All right. Okay. I believe, so this is me talking, the kinetic energy theorem is a fable. There is no such quantity as mv squared. Are you willing to agree with that? So he was very agreeable in his email. You know, he was very polite. The whole thing was going quite well, and then he turned into a shithead again. So he's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. But anyway, and so he was talking like, oh yeah, well, it does appear like momentum and kinetic energy have a problem, and blah, blah, blah. And then he's backsliding from all of those statements. So anyway, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. That's surprising that he's using that word. I'm not ready. But maybe tomorrow. To merely accept your statement as fact without some demonstration to show that it's correct. No, I don't have to disprove God. They have to prove God. The simple argument is they have no evidence of mv squared. There's no evidence it takes 25 times the fuel to move something 5 times as fast. There's no evidence it takes 9 times the fuel to move something 3 times as fast. There's no evidence it takes 100 times the fuel to move something 10 times as fast. None of this crap has any evidence supporting it. Okay. The quantity mv squared is just a mathematical quantity. I mean, I don't even know what the fuck to say to that. It's a description of reality. Don't you understand that your mouth is supposed to be describing reality? It's supposed to be describing how the fucking thing works. For fuck's sake, how can you just say it's just a mathematical quantity? No, it's a real quantity that does real work. If it isn't doing real work, then it's not a real thing. Amazing horseshit. If m exists and v exists, we calculate mv's. Well, how does this again? No, you calculate mv. You don't calculate mv squared. Just like I don't square the voltage in an electric circuit. Why would I square the voltage in an electric circuit? It won't help. It won't create the right answer. There's just no parallel to why you would say v squared is obvious. Where is it obvious? Where's your fucking experimental evidence? It doesn't fucking exist. Okay, I can do experiments to measure these quantities. Well, please do them for fuck's sake. Show me it taking 25 fucking times the goddamn fuel to move something 5 times as fast. Show me that fucking experiment. Don't tell me you can do it when nobody has done it. In 350 fucking years, you haven't done it. Okay, and I can graph them. Fuck you. I think you're trying to say it's a quantity that has no physical significance. No, it's a quantity that doesn't have any physical existence. Or maybe not a significant, or maybe not the significance that physics textbooks say it has. Well, again, isn't it the whole argument? You're saying you believe. You already answered the fucking question in the first paragraph, you hypocritical, lying, duplicitous hunk of shit. You said you believe it does take 25 times the fuel, and you said you believe that something spinning 5 times faster can do 25 times the work. You said you believe it. I'm asking you to show me why you believe it, you moron. Okay. Class is about to start. I'll try to get back to this later. In the meantime, here's a friendly conversation with someone who has a different point of view. What the fuck is that? Let's keep things on those terms. Well, you didn't do that. As soon as I made a video saying your relativity argument is garbage, you got all butthurt and turned into a complete asshole again. So whose fault is that, you fucker? That's your fault. You're bad. You explain your point of view, and I'll explain mine. Maybe we come to some sort of understanding. Well, that's what I attempted to get to, was some sort of understanding. I'm saying there's no evidence of mv squared. Okay, so your response has to be something where you show that there is evidence. And there isn't any. Well, 4 pounds dropped 1 foot and 1 pound dropped 4 feet, okay, demonstrates the point, because, yeah, the 4 pounds dropped 1 foot has twice the momentum. And your crazy physics says somehow it does the same amount of work. A thing with twice the momentum, you're saying does the same amount of work. I'm saying that's just plain idiotic. The only way we can agree is that you agree it's idiotic, because it's idiotic. All right. So back to this shit. Yeah. Okay. So to even talk about peer review, right? I mean, it's just kind of disgusting, because you know, obviously I can't even make a suggestion on a Wikipedia page. There's no such thing as peer review that's in any way other than just groupthink. If you don't say what they want to hear, there's no point in saying it. There's no point in trying to argue evolution with the Catholic Church. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. You know, to sit there and say, oh, that's the standard. If the Catholic Church publishes your science, it's good science. No, it isn't. All right. So, peer review action 1, whatever this is, the case for Newtonian experiments. Yeah, the case for any experiment. More experiments, good. So again, you know, we've been in space for over 60 years. There's 400 times better seeing from space. 400, not 4, not 40, 400 times better seeing from space. And they never even attempted the Eddington experiment. It takes 5 minutes to do the experiment. Well, a total of 10. You need all you need is a GoPro camera, frankly. With 400 times better resolution, you don't need much of a telescope. And they've never even tried it. All right, Draft Science most vigorous peer review concerns 2 of my own experimental demonstrations. Well, that's a big lie. Okay. Newton's second law. So again, the second law you've perverted. Newton's second law is twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. So that's Newton's second law. And you're just lying about Isaac Newton, which is just more example of how you have no character. Empirical triumph. Watch the experiment here. The setup tests the proportionality between force and acceleration with the sort of precision that would make Newton weep tears of joy. So that's just such a lie. All he did was put a fan on a cart and measure how fast it traveled the distance. That's all he did. He didn't do anything. There's no great experiment here at all. Okay. And probably demand a better camera angle. Draft Science, however, publicly declared the experiment wrong without specifying which law of nature he prefers instead. No, I stated exactly what you did, which is you ignored the fact that friction is variable, depending on velocity. His critique notably omits the experimental data, so lie some more, jackass. A striking methodological innovation, sometimes called selective epistemic transparency. Epistemic. I hate that. I've never been able to say that word. Anyway, it's just such a lie. So again, no. So this is just a simple argument. He doesn't think you can slide across thin ice. Okay, that's his physics. He says it's impossible. So you are actually performing a miracle if you slide across thin ice. All right, conservation of angular momentum. So there's no such thing as angular momentum. There's just momentum. Round and round we go. So, you know, I've already made my clarification on this subject, so I'm not even going to read this one. This is not an important subject. It has nothing to do with kinetic energy. It doesn't have anything to do with levers. Doesn't have anything to do with the subject. So, fuck you. You're an asshole. All right, so peer review action 2, the case for Einstein's relativity. So this argument is just so simple. All right, so I'm gonna do something. Watch this. Watch this. Watch. Oh, holy! Did you see what happened to me? I became bigger, and I had 2 noses, and all kinds of things. That my eyes moved over here and over there, and they jiggled up. And did you? Holy shit! Did you see me do that? Oh, wait a minute. I didn't do anything. None of that actually happened to me. Okay? Yeah, the camera did it. The moving camera distorted your perspective and created a false impression that I moved. Look at me. Look, I'm jumping all over the place. Holy shit, I'm jumping all over the place. Did I really jump all over the place? Are you really so fucking gullible and stupid and moronic that you think I actually did all of those actions? Or are you smart enough to know, oh, the camera moved. I understand the trick. You moved the camera. Are you smart enough to figure out I moved the camera? And that I didn't actually move? That's what this physics is about. This is how fucking dumb these pieces of garbage are, is that you actually have to make these arguments. That moving the camera does not mean I changed shape or I jumped all over the place. Didn't happen. All right, and that's how simple this whole argument is. Okay, they have no evidence that if I shoot a photon across a spaceship, moving, that the photon bends. It doesn't. It doesn't travel a longer distance. It doesn't. It smacks into the other side, and all you did was move the target. That's all that happened. The target went this way, and that makes this look like it fell below the target. But it didn't fall below anything. It went straight across the ship and hit the wall in the same time it would have taken if the wall didn't move. That's the fact. Somebody with working neurons understands I wouldn't be fooled by that experiment. If I know I'm the one moving, okay, I would understand, oh, the light really didn't bend. I bent the perspective. I moved the camera. So that's what he wrote a paper on, is arguing that when I move this camera, I actually moved. That's his theory. Fucking asshole. All right. So, and there's so many. This guy is such an arrogant asshole because he makes claims that he has just nothing to back them up. So my paper on universality of time dilation, there's no evidence that it dilates anything other than atomic clocks. So he just doesn't have any of this universal evidence. It doesn't exist. Was published a couple of months ago and is only a matter of time before Einstein's cat crawls its way into the world of YouTube physics. So it's not going to crawl its way anywhere because it's so creepy. The very fact that you would steal Schrodinger's argument against quantum mechanics and do it for no good reason. It has nothing. The cat plays no role. Besides killing it, the cat has no role at all. I mean, this isn't. There's no idea that the cat is in a superposition or something. The cat is just thrown in there, just like somebody taking Homer Simpson clips and putting them in their video. He's just stealing the fame of Homer Simpson. He's just stealing the idea of a cat experiment. But it has no role to play. All right, it didn't take long before Gary bravely stepped forward to unsuccessfully, he says, try to debunk the idea. Well, again, debunking the idea that moving the camera means that I moved isn't much of a debunk, frankly. If that's what I have to do on this planet with the rest of my life, yes, life sucks. There's just no doubt about it. Life sucks if you have to sit there and argue with adult human beings that moving the camera doesn't make me move. All right, armed with enthusiasm, confidence, and a hilarious concrete of pure ignorance. So, whatever. Concentrate of pure ignorance. So just rhetoric, just more insulting, pukey little words, but nothing verifying why he has pronounced that he's proven something. He proved nothing. There was no experiment performed. Nothing. All right, results and discussion. Peer review of draft science claims remains pending, primarily due to the absence of peers. So whatever, cowards. That's right. You're all cowards. Cowards can't, review somebody with integrity. However, his videos have attracted a dedicated audience of commenters, many of who begin their replies with, "I'm not sure what you mean." So I don't even know where this comes from. It's one comment per video. When tested against empirical evidence, most of, how the hell did he get that in there? He has another little hidden, my name. Hypothesis exhibit negative predictive power, correctly anticipating only outcomes that do not occur. So just more lies. He's just such a pathetic liar. Again, my simulation works. It perfectly illustrates the function of Maxwellian drawings of charge. They do exactly what Maxwell would predict. You fucking piece of garbage. Again, future, piss on this fucker's grave. If confidence could bend space-time, draft science would say, all this rhetoric. So he could have spent all the time he spent writing this crap, he could have actually made a physics argument. But instead he chose to do this buffooning nonsense. Would have already achieved gravitational collapse. His influence continues to inspire aspiring contrarians who seek to overthrow physics by recording increasingly long. So again, he can't. There's the debate physics videos are 5 minutes long. They're 5-minute videos on kinetic energy. I mean, and again, it's physics, for fuck's sake. These assholes really think physics should be trivial and cartoonish. That's how much they give a damn. All right, future research directions include proving Newton's law by arguing with a pendulum. Well, nothing wrong with proving Newton's laws by arguing with a pendulum. Sorry. Demonstrating time dilation using kitchen timers. So again, I'm against using kitchen timers, liar. So again, it's just, I'm saying somebody should do these experiments right. You're the one saying they should do them out of chewing gum and cardboard. Resolving quantum entanglement through various hand waving. So with more lies, I've illustrated exactly how the double slit works, and you're just a pathetic liar. All right, conclusion. Draft science represents a monumental contribution to the study of alternative physics, a field defined primarily by its lack of equations. So again, you're the one with no equations that are anything other than religious statements. 1/2 mv squared is a religious statement. It is not a demonstrated, experimentally proven fact. So, and again, you're the one hostile to experiments. Where's the attempt to do the Eddington experiment from space? It's a $25 experiment, takes 5 minutes. Why hasn't it been done, jackass? Our patients, while his theories remain unsupported, well, not entirely, they have succeeded brilliantly in demonstrating the conservation of indignation. Yeah, that's fine. That's exactly what it is. I'm indignant to have to live on this shitty planet with these fucking goddamn humans with hundreds of billions of neurons, and they think, with a capacity lower than a weasel. You're scurvy. You're not much better than bugs. In terms of your function. You don't do anything in any kind of way that has anything integrity, truth. None of these things matter to you fucking bugs. So yeah, fuck you. Get what you deserve, you piece of scum. Right. And so he puts a fake copyright on here, which is also probably against the law. I don't think you can fake a copyright. Jackass. So anyway. Alright, so there, enough of that. I was going to do some Dispar video, but nope, I'll wait till next time. I might as well just devote it to that whole subject of the, the free momentum experiment. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. And he just keeps ragging on and on about it like somehow he proved it. It's just so pathetic. It's pathetic. Free momentum is an insanely stupid concept. If your experiment makes more momentum going in a direction, it's insanely stupid. You can't make free momentum. Oh, shit. Alright, so, yeah, maybe I'll do, it's only an hour. Yeah, maybe I'll do a live video later. We'll see. Yeah, maybe I'll do the Despar video and a live video. Anyway, till the next time and such, and so forth and whatnot. But yeah, fuck you, Val. Yeah, you're just such a ragged piece of shit. Professional. You have just no professional integrity. Just none. You're an immature, psychologically fucktarded asshole.